Alrighty, so now we're getting into chapter 18, and we're halfway through the book, more than halfway, and things are starting to get really, really interesting and really good. So chapter 18 is quite long, but bear with me and follow along, and we're going to go ahead and dive right into chapter 18. But I told you we were taking turns. I yelled at the bathroom door. Zoe had locked herself inside and was holding my pastry gun hostage. Dad said you had to play Peter Pan. Really? Is that what Dad said? Because what I remember him saying is that you have to let me bake. Oh yeah, I remember that too, she said like she was all excited when we had this in common. Okay, so come out, I'll bake, and then we can play Peter Pan. But Dad never said which came first, Peter Pan or donuts. Why can't Peter Pan go first? I thought for a minute. Look, if you come out right now, I'm sorry, I lost my spot. If you come right now and be good till I finish making the dough, I'll give you fairy dust to play Peter Pan with. The door flew open and Zoe stood there, a band of lotion painted under each eye like a linebacker. What fairy dust? 30 minutes later, I had my first blob of donut dough. I'd followed the recipe more carefully than I'd ever done anything in my life. But since I'd never made donuts before, I had no clue how I'd done. The dough felt good, soft like new Play-Doh, and cold and sticky too. But it didn't feel different from any other blob of dough I'd touched before. So, who knew? I just have to wait and see, which made me nervous but also kind of excited. I covered it with plastic wrap, then put it in the pantry to rise. It would need 2 hours, which gave me plenty of time to play with Zoe and make the cream. You can come out now, I called. Zoe climbed out of the cardboard box she dragged into the kitchen and pulled the masking tape off her mouth. Where's my dust? Just so you know, the cage and muzzle were Zoe's idea. I told her that if she touched or said anything while I was cooking, our deal was off, and she didn't want to take any chances. It's coming, I said. Then I went back into the pantry and put 2 handfuls of King Arthur all-purpose flour into a Ziploc bag. That's it, said Zoe, frowning when I handed her the baggie. That's it, I said. She studied it, then ran a finger through the powder. This is just flour. Sure, if you use it to cook, but not if you use it for whatever fairies use dust for. But it's not special. Think of it this way. Fairies have wands, right? Yeah. And what are wands made out of? I don't know. Sticks? Exactly. They're just sticks till fairies use them as wands. This is just flour till a fairy use it as fairy dust. Same thing, right? I guess. She was studying the flour again, but there's so little. That's because this is the powerful stuff, the deluxe dust. A tiny pinch goes a long way, but maybe you can't handle it. Maybe I should get the rookie stuff. I took the bag away from her. What's rookie stuff? It's for the new fairies who don't know what they're doing. It's not flour? No way, the rookie stuff is cornstarch. Maybe that would be safer. No, deluxe dust, she said. Then she snatched back the baggie and raced to the basement door. Down in the basement, I helped Zoe put on and tighten her harness. Then we climbed to the landing halfway up the basement stairs, and I clipped her onto the zip line. First, I must throw the fairy dust on you, she sang. Then she took a pinch of flour and tossed it in her face. Ready? She sneezed and gave me a thumbs up. I let go, and she squealed all the way down to the other end of the basement. After 5 minutes of clip in, walk down, clip out, walk back, repeat, I was bored out of my skull. That's when I decided to see if I could teach Zoe to clip in and out herself. I would never have left her there alone, but at least that way I could use the time to go over step 2 of the recipe. It took a couple of tries, but eventually she figured out that if she used both hands, she could pull back the little lever on the clip and slip it over the zip line. Once it was on, there was no way she could get hurt since Jim the kidnapper had gotten these extra safe clips used by mountain climbers. So for the next hour, Zoe clipped herself in and out of the zip line. I memorized how to make the chocolate cream, and everybody was happy. Zoe didn't even complain when I told her it was time to go back upstairs. mostly because she was out of fairy dust by then. Zoe didn't want to stay in the kitchen for step 2, so I told her she couldn't play in her room till I was done. Winnie had warned me that the chocolate cream was the hardest part of the recipe, but it turned out that it was just like making pudding. With pudding, you have this runny, melted chocolate mixture, and you're stirring so long you feel like your arm will fall off, but the chocolate never looks any thicker. Then, just when you can't stir one more second, something changes. The runny mixture becomes something new that wasn't there before. Something somewhere between liquid and solid. The secret is just the belief that if you just keep stirring, you will eventually get there before your arm falls off. It was that way with the cream. I'd been stirring forever when suddenly the waves I made with my spoon were there, even when the spoon was gone. I dunked my finger and tasted. Sweet, creamy, rich, but something was wrong. I took another bite. Good, definitely good, but just good. No more than good. I hadn't done all this work just for good. People didn't write articles about good or dream about good or get up at the crack of dawn to eat good. Good was not life-changing. My insides suddenly felt like they were on spin cycle. Had I forgotten something? I grabbed the recipe. No, I'd done everything like I was just supposed to. So what did this mean? Were life-changing donuts like the Tooth Fairy or the Man on the Moon or every other bit of magic in this world a complete lie? Had the people of Petersville been deprived so long they couldn't tell the difference between a good donut and a life-changing donut? I put the cream in the fridge and sprinted upstairs. Mom, I whispered. She had made it to the bed and was pretty clearly asleep. Mom, I said again, louder this time. Mm-hmm. I lay down beside her and whispered right in her ear. I made the cream. It tastes like chocolate pudding. Mm-hmm. Mom, please wake up, I begged, squeezing her shoulder. I'm up. What'd she do? Nothing, but the chocolate cream tastes like chocolate pudding. What? For the donuts, the chocolate cream tastes like chocolate pudding. She pressed her lips to her stomach. Can you not talk about food, please? Mom, please, I need your help. She sat up slowly. Okay. Let's just not say the words. So the C tastes like P. What's wrong with that? It just tastes like normal P, not amazing P or C or whatever, and it has to be amazing. Oh, good, not great. I'm familiar with the problem. Yeah, good, not great. I know she'd get it. Was it still hot? The C when you tasted it? Yeah, warm. Finish your recipe, make the donuts. The D, make the D. Make the D, fill the D, then decide. The whole is bigger than the parts when you're talking food. The magic happens when you put them together. PB&J is a total different animal from the PB and the J and some B, right? I guess. Okay, I'll finish and then see. I was still worried, but it's not as if I had a lot of options. Sorry I woke you. Be careful when you fry, because of the oil. I know. How's it going with Zoe? Fine, she's in her room. Or so I thought, but as I found out when I went to tell her that I was ready to go back down to the basement, Zoe was not in her room, or the living room, or the kitchen, or Janine's room, or any other places I checked and hoped that I was wrong about where I thought she'd gone. Finally, I went back to the kitchen and threw open the basement door. A powdery cloud wafted out. Zoe, don't come down here. I started down the stairs. The cloud thickened. Uh-oh. Zoe! White powder carpeted the basement like fake snow and Christmas windows on Fifth Avenue. 4 empty gallon bags of King Arthur flowers sat crumpled on the landing. Uh-oh. Go make donuts! Zoe appeared out of the flower mist like a zombie in a horror movie. Mom's gonna kill you. Nuh-uh, I'm gonna clean it up. How? Dustbuster, nutty, she said as she clipped in and zoomed off. But this time, instead of squealing, she coughed and was coughing so hard by the time she reached the end she couldn't unclip herself. My eyes hurt, she said, rubbing them. I helped her down. Let's get out of here. But we have to clean up. We? You mean you? Alrighty. So she stared at the floor. Zoe, do you know where they went? Who? Twatty Twatty and Dabu Dabu. Remember, those are the imaginary friends. Home, home, her bottom lip quivered. I guess Zoe was still waking up in the wrong place, too. Come on, let's go, I said. She didn't move. Don't you want to feel the donuts? The corners of her mouth twitched. A second later, both arms shot in the air. Forget it, I said. Her arms jerked higher. Ugh, fine. I groaned as I hoisted every last bowling ball onto my lip, and I clawed my way up the stairs. I poured water over her eyes in the bathroom until they felt better. Then we went into the kitchen and rolled out the dough together. Once it was half an inch thick, like the recipe said, I let Zoe cut out the circles with the top of a glass, like Mom had taught us to do for biscuits. Hot oil plus Zoe seemed like an even worse combination than chili peppers plus chocolate. So back in the box she went while I fried the donuts. It took only 2 minutes for the dough circles to puff up golden, but the whole process took a while because I could only fry 2 at a time. And as soon as I took them out of the oil, I had to roll them in a mixture of sugar, salt, and vanilla bean. When all 10 donuts were fried and sugared and cooled enough not to burn off your fingerprints, I'm missing 4. I put Zoe on a stool at the counter and handed her a gun filled with cream. Okay, now nice and slow, I said, and carefully pushed the tip of the gun into a donut. As Zoe squeezed the plunger and the donut inflated like it was taking a breath. Whoa, she said, her eyes widening with the donut. Before long, chocolate oozed out of the other side. Okay, that's good. Stop, stop, stop. You don't have to yell, she said, finally letting go. Watch it or I'll French at you. Zoe rolled her eyes. You can't French. I held the donut up close to my face and breathed in it. Cinnamon, French toast, funnel cakes, hot chocolate. My mouth went off like a sprinkler. Please, please, please let them taste as good as they smell, I prayed. I crossed my fingers, opened my mouth, and ow! I looked down just in time to see Zoe pulling away. There was a wet mark on my sleeve. You bit me. I let you use the gun and you bite me? Zoe's bottom lip puffed out. I want a donut, and you'll get one. But how come you get to go first? Because I made them. I helped. I thought for a minute and then held up the business finger my parents are always using on Zoe. Don't ever bite me again. You want to bite everybody else. That's up to you, but not me. Got it? Got it. We don't bite, Tris. All right. Then here, I handed the donut. Don't eat yet. Just hold it. Zoe cradled the donut as if it were a living thing. I took another donut and shot it full of cream. Okay, ready? She nodded. 3, 2, 1. Zoe yelled and crammed as much of the donut as would fit into her mouth. I was still holding mine. It was weird, but after everything I'd done, suddenly I couldn't take a bite. If it was just good dough. If it was just a good donut, I didn't want to know. Zoe moaned and gobbled up the other half. That was a pretty good sign, but it didn't mean much since I could fill a dog biscuit with chocolate cream and Zoe would go crazy for it. But then, with chocolate leaking out of the corners of her mouth, Zoe said, I don't want to be president anymore. When I grow up, I'm going to be a donut maker too. That's when I had to know. Had I really just made life-changing donuts? I took a bite, then closed my eyes and focused on all the different things happening in my mouth. Do you think he's going to like it? I don't know. Springy cake bursting with vanilla, sugar and salty crystals crunching between my teeth, waves of chocolate rolling slow and smooth across my tongue. Mom had been right. The whole was so much bigger than the part, so much bigger than something you just tasted. Taste was only in your mouth. This went zinging all over from my toes to my fingers to my brain. Phew! These weren't just good donuts. They were picture in the paper, get up at dawn flying carpet donuts. Phew! Yeah, it's not like how I thought I'd feel either. Sure, I expected a little fuel, but mostly I expected was Shazam! And there was none of that. Just fuel and a kind of now what emptiness. What was wrong with me? Why wasn't I taking my victory lap around the kitchen, or running for a phone to call Josh, or running upstairs to tell Mom, or just plain shoving another mind-blowing donut in my stomach. I don't feel so good, Zoe said and lay down on the kitchen floor. I looked over at the tray of donuts. 2 unfilled ones were missing. Zoe lifted her shirt and looked down. Belly says donuts are bad. Tell Belly not to be such a pig, I said, and lay down on the floor next to her. The fuel was gone, and all that was left was the now what emptiness growing bigger every second like a black hole. Does your tummy hurt too? Sort of. Make circles. It helps, she said, petting her belly. I don't think circles will work this time. As Zoe groaned and rolled around on the floor next to me, I tried to happy thought my way to Shazam. Happy thought number 1. Winnie's donuts were mind-blowing. Happy thought number 2. Winnie's donuts were going to make the donut stop a huge success. Happy thought number 3. Winnie's. And that's when it hit me. I knew what was wrong, and I knew exactly what I had to do to fix it. I jumped up and ran around the kitchen gathering ingredients. What are you doing, Zoe groaned? Making more donuts. Ugh, why? Mom always talked about needing to make a recipe her own, but I never understood why before now. Anybody could follow a recipe. Robots could do that, and even did in those big cookie factories where they make Oreos and Fig Newtons. But those robots weren't really making something. They were just following instructions the same way they do when they make cars or anything else. I didn't want donuts from the donut stop to be something a robot could make you with Winnie's 3 cards. I wanted to put something of me in there too. Robots couldn't change a recipe. I wonder what he's going to add. They did everything exactly the same each time, but I didn't have to. I followed enough recipes to know how they work, and I could experiment and make this recipe my own. I didn't mean I wanted to make Tris Levin's chocolate cream donuts. That's not what this was about. The kitchen soup Mom made was still Grandma's cold cure soup, even though she never made it exactly the same way. But without Winnie, Petersville never would have had chocolate cream donuts, and without her recipe, I'd never be able to bring them back. They'd always be Winnie Hammond's famous chocolate cream donuts. I just hoped I'd be able to get her to understand that when I told her that I'd tinkered with her recipe, I was less worried about how Josh would take it, since I was pretty sure he'd be okay with it as long as the donuts were still mind-blowing. I ran to the refrigerator and pulled a bowl of leftovers from top shelf. What's that? Zoe asked. Mashed potatoes. For the donuts? Yep. This should be interesting, excuse me. I don't want your donuts, Zoe said as she rolled over on the other side and closed her eyes. I know. Mashed potato donuts? Sounds even crazier than olive oil ice cream. But Mom had told me once that if you substitute mashed potatoes for some of the flour, they'll make whatever you're baking lighter. Winnie's donuts were awesome, but I wanted mine fluffier, and I was going to use mashed potatoes to do it. Mom's mashed potatoes were just potato. This was for Janine, who was always complaining about how Mom had to fancy up everything. Mom made them every week, and we always had a ton of leftovers. If this worked, I figured I could just chip in for potatoes. So as Zoe napped on the kitchen floor, I mapped out a new recipe. After an hour of thinking and looking through cookbooks, I had a plan. I'd come up with 3 new ingredients: mashed potatoes for the dough, and balsamic vinegar and instant coffee, no caffeine, for the chocolate cream. Since the donut was so sweet, I wanted to make the cream less sweet, more chocolatey. One of the cookbooks said the little balsamic vinegar gives chocolate a stronger flavor. The coffee was a trick I'd seen Mom use when she doesn't want milk chocolate to taste too sweet. The instant stuff just dissolves, so it's easy to use. I'd have to be careful not to put in too much dough, or I'd end up with mocha cream donuts. I made 3 small batches of dough. In the first one, I'd use mashed potatoes for half of the flour. Then in the second, I used it for only a third. And in the last one, just a quarter. While the dough was rising, I experimented with the cream on their own. The vinegar and the coffee gave the chocolate exactly what I was going for, but together they made it a bit bitter. In the end, I chose the coffee because I liked the way it upped the cocoa flavor. Once I'd fried and rolled the donuts, I tasted one from each batch. The winner was obvious. It was by far the lightest. It had the same yummy flavor of Winnie's, but it tasted more like cake. Since I mashed potatoes were supposed to make the donuts lighter, it surprised me that the lightest one had the smallest amount of potato. It just goes to show you that in cooking, more isn't always better. That meant I just need 1 cup of mashed potatoes per batch, which would be easy to swing even if I ended up having to make them myself. By the time I was ready to start stuffing, it was getting dark and Zoe was just waking up from her marathon nap. "Feel better?" I said. She rolled into her side and sat up. "I'm hungry." I wasn't surprised. It had almost been 2 hours since she'd eaten the donuts, and I'd forgotten to feed us lunch. We were both in need of some real food. Minutes later, we were eating leftover chicken, looking out the window at the rabbits playing freeze tag on the front lawn. Something you may not know, rabbits are seriously good freezers. "Did you really put mashed potato in the donuts?" Zoe asked, pointing to the empty bowl with her chicken leg. "Yep, and they're awesome." Zoe swore she wouldn't even taste my donuts, but she did want to stuff them. She was super into the pastry gun. So when we finished our chicken and washed our hands, I spooned my new cream into the gum and let her fill the 3 donuts I had left from the winning batch. When she stuffed them all, she held... Sorry, I thought someone was here. Someone was coming. When she stuffed them all, she held one up and studied it as if she'd be able to spot the part mashed potato and eat around it. This time, I couldn't wait to taste my creation. I knew the cream was mind-blowing, and I knew the donuts were mind-blowing, but how would they be together? Had I made something entirely new like PB&J, or just some D stuff with some C? I picked up a donut and knocked it gently into the one Zoe was still inspecting. "Cheers!" The lighter, cakier donut floated for a second on my tongue, then melted into the chocolate. I'd done it. Because the chocolate was more rich than sweet, my taste buds craved more donut. The donut and the cream worked together in a way that hadn't before. This wasn't just some D plus some C. It was picture in the paper and get up at dawn and flying carpet just like it had been before. It was all of those things. And it was mine, and it was Winnie's, and it was life-changing. I guess after seeing the look on my face, Zoe couldn't hold out any longer because she finally nibbled at the donut. As she chewed, her eyes opened a little wider, and before even she swallowed the first bite, she took another one that got her all the way to the chocolate. Her eyes rolled back a few seconds later, and she made this sound that was part giggle and part sigh. Like this donut, my donut was something she'd been missing forever and finally found. "Let's put mashed potatoes in everything," she said, and sucked chocolate off her thumb with a loud smack. After that, I was so full of Shazam, I agreed to help Zoe clean up the basement. I even promised not to tell my parents about the mess she'd made. I was just lugging the vacuum cleaner up from the basement when I heard Mom calling me. She was standing at the top of the stairs, still in her bathrobe, but looking less green than before. "I think I could manage some ginger ale. Bring me some?" she called down. "Sure." I told Zoe I'd be back in a second, got the ginger ale, and headed upstairs. I guess I didn't take longer than a second because Mom and I got to talking about how the D turned out, and by the time I got back to the kitchen, Zoe was gone. So was the pastry gun. I found them both in Janine's room. The gun was empty. "Okay, where's the cream?" I hoped she could hear how annoyed I was and that she'd actually care. She grinned. "Not a chance. You're going to be so sick." I assumed she'd eaten all the cream. That's what I would have done. "No, I'm not." She rocked from one foot to the other side. "I like stuffing things." "Things like donuts?" Her eyes moved slowly from one side of the room to the other. "And other things." "Things like what?" I pointed to Janine's model of the human heart. I thought I caught her eyes stop at it for a second too long as she looked around the room. She shook her head but smiled bigger. I'm nervous about what she's put it in. "What about that?" I was pointing to the inflatable space shuttle next to it. "Uh-huh." "Come on, Zoe, give it up. Where's the cream?" "No, this is fun. Keep trying," she said, jumping up and down. I didn't have time for this. I was just about to yell, for my mother when I noticed Paul's, Janine's bear, was on the desk and not on her pillow, where she always left him. Please tell me you didn't. I reached for the pear. Paul's felt like he'd gained a few pounds and was disturbingly squishy. I gave him a little squeeze and something dribbled out onto the floor. Zoe clapped. That was it. Enough. I'd done my best. My mother was off the bathroom floor. My shift was over. I snatched the pastry gun out of Zoe's hands, dragged her and Paul's into my parents' room, showed Paul's new trick to my mother, and then went back downstairs. In case you're wondering, no, there's no way to clean chocolate cream from the inside of a teddy bear. Mom found this place in Nebraska that can completely remake stuffed animals with new inside. So in 6 weeks, Paul's was back, even better than new. Zoe lost her dessert days for the entire time he was undergoing reconstructive surgery, but I'm pretty sure she'd tell you it was worth it and that she'd do it again if she got the chance. Just in case, we keep the pastry gun under tight security now. That's actually pretty funny. That's the end of chapter 18, but did any of you guys have little siblings that you have to watch and kind of be responsible for, and that's kind of done something funny? Well, Miss Plumley does not have any younger siblings. I have 2 older siblings, so I really haven't experienced that, but I am an aunt, and I do have a nephew that's 5 and 2 nieces that are 3. So I'm sure that I will experience that soon enough, but I am going to go ahead and be done for the day. So on the back of this book, there is, let me see, there's actually some recipes for, let me see, there's a perfect cookie chocolate chip cookies recipe, a Mama's Molten Chocolate Cakes recipe, and a Rookie Cinnamon Sugar Donuts. So I'm going to take a vote. I thought this would be kind of fun and interesting to do, but at the end of this book, I want to know if you guys would like to follow along with Miss Plumley with making one of these recipes. I think I'm going to make the donuts because it's kind of simple and I've already done it like in previous years. Not this same exact recipe, but if you would like Miss Plumley to make a video of making donuts, please comment below of this link or go back to the Google Classroom and comment that you would like to see me make the donuts. So I think that would be kind of fun for you guys to do and watch me do. So I'm going to go, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you guys later.